Y'all, that'll do it for the 2024 regular season, and Auburn falls to Alabama in the Iron Bowl. So we got to talk about it here with Mike G, our good friend from the War Rapport, for another War Rapport Wednesday. Good to see you, my friend. So let's talk about it. Auburn had so much momentum going into this game. It looked like the offense figured it out. Just get the ball to Cam Coleman, throw it to Jarquez, feature those guys, let Peyton Thorne cook a little bit with just working the simple plays on the offense. The defense out of this world, and then it happened on Saturday. What happened? Auburn, unfortunately, not able to overcome the tide. Your initial reaction for what happened?
I think I want to start by honoring what Auburn was able to do defensively in this one. It was an amazing performance, I think, under the circumstances by DJ Durkin's defense. They turned Alabama over 4 times in this game, right? And one of which was a fumble by Ryan Williams, the youngest player to fumble in an Iron Bowl.
17 years old, right?
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that he was 17. But look, ultimately, they got the ball back to this offense enough times, I think, for them to mount an offensive strike and try to win this game. And it was the same old problems that plagued them offensively. It was missed kicks and it was red zone offense that really did them in this one. So you had some opportunities, and I think if you trusted your kicker, this is maybe a different game going into that fourth quarter. I mean, you potentially have a 1-score game going into that quarter with 10 potential points left on the board there by the offense and the special teams. Everything needs to be looked at offensively. Before we started recording, you and I, we've had discussions about play calling.
Right.
And the timing of some of the play calling, the trick play with Jarquez, I hated the timing of that play. You were moving the ball. Why do that? We have not seen Auburn do, I don't think, one successful trick play all year. They've all been disasters.
Exactly.
And from what I've been told, sources have told me that Hugh Freeze likes to add plays to the call sheet for the game late in the week. Stuff that they maybe haven't practiced extensively, but that he likes, and then he's the one calling it. And it has failed. That trick play with Jarquez was one of them that he admitted to calling after the game. He mentioned a 3rd-and-1 tempo play that did not work out, that he said he regretted calling. They've got it to get together. Play calling by committee is not working for Auburn. So either take over play calling, Hugh, or find a guy who you trust to get in here and do it the way that you want to do it and let him call the plays. But I don't think that this is the formula for success.
And I have to agree with you. The way the season unfolded, the way the offense looked like they stumbled most of the time, very frustrating. Let's take a 10,000-foot point of view here, Mike.
Okay.
The season unfolded the way it did. There were some highs, there were some lows, and really frustrating losses here. How should Auburn fans feel about this team?
They should still feel like there's potential because statistically, they moved things forward. Keandre Lambert-Smith came up like 19 yards short of being Auburn's first 1,000-yard receiver since 1999. That was Ronnie Daniels.
That's wild.
Look, Darvin Adams got close in 2010 when they won the national title. I think he had like 997 yards. He came like 3 yards short. Sammy Coates, I think, maybe had over 900 yards receiving, but so he came close. Look, Auburn has not been known for prolific receivers. They've had some really good receivers come through, but they've never thrown the ball enough for those guys to have prolific seasons. And under Hugh Freeze, you imagine that would change because he's done that. He's produced some prolific receivers in his career. But you can't get away from what has gotten you there, and especially at Auburn, and that's running the ball. You had one of the best backs in the league, so you had a nearly 1,000-yard receiver, you had a 1,200-yard rusher, and he finished behind a guy that had almost 70 more carries than him on the season.
That math right there is crazy. The fact that he had that many fewer carries, so Jarquez was able to do that much with almost 70, 80 less carries? That's wild.
Than Dylan Sampson at Tennessee.
Wow.
I think that fans should feel good. Cam Coleman is everything that we thought he would be. Keandre Lambert-Smith was one of the best pickups in the portal, if not the best. And you've got more talent coming in. So did they hit a home run on Deuce Knight, the quarterback, the young guy? I don't know if he'll be ready year one, but certainly, hopefully that points to a future that you can look forward to. And, hold on to these guys on defense. And then on defense, you played more freshmen on defense than anybody in the country in the Power 4 conferences. And look what they were able to do. They were a top 25 defense with all those young guys. So you should feel like the potential is there. But I understand any trepidation that any fan has based on how it went from a coaching standpoint. They've got to figure out how they want to coach this thing and how they want to call plays and how they want to run this thing in today's SEC.
I know it's kind of corny to ask this question at times, especially when a season unfolds the way you don't want it to. Hugh Freeze, is he on the hot seat? Because 2025 is the season that they've been preaching, like this is the year we want to see Auburn take that next step.
Yeah, just close your eyes and imagine a flaming couch. Yes, he's on the hot seat. I'm sorry. 6-7 year one with an embarrassing Iron Bowl loss and an embarrassing bowl game loss and a loss to a G5 team. 5-7 in year two, right? So although statistically Auburn moved forward in a lot of ways, from a record standpoint, you regressed, and that's not good. You can't have another 5-7 season. You had 3 straight losing seasons and keep your job. I think almost at any program, and especially not at a program like Auburn, where you've been given a blank NIL checkbook. Almost every resource a coach could ask for. You have a $92 million performance center that rivals, in my book, some NFL facilities. You've got a rabid fan base, and you've got a program where championships have been won there. They've been won on the Plains. You've got undefeated seasons. You got national title championships. You've got national title appearances in 2013. You can win at Auburn. And 3 straight losing seasons, making $6.5 million a year, I think that he's on the hot seat going into year 3.
100% has been a frustrating time at the Plains so far. It is on the edge of portal season. We know that signing day is here. We're recording this a day before signing day. He's going to be a busy man then.
Yeah.
So this is also the season, the portal. Again, that's another rant because it opens now. Are we expecting maybe an exodus of talent leaving the Plains? I know it's kind of not everything solid right now.
Well, there was a report that backup quarterback Holden Geriner was entering the portal. It was true. There was another report that Hank Brown, the second string QB, might be entering the portal. That ended up being false. Hank texted me himself and said, Mike, this is not true. We put that out there for people, but he may still enter the portal. The portal doesn't open until the 9th. He hasn't made any decisions yet. All these guys are reevaluating. So, yes, I'm hearing Jeremiah Cobb could be another name to keep an eye on. DeMar Elston might be a name to keep an eye on. Michael Riley, tight end, he has already decided to enter the portal. So every program has to deal with this. This isn't unique to Auburn.
Nope.
In the NIL era, you have to re-recruit your roster at the end of every season, and guys are going to seek more money elsewhere because that's the day we live in, and they're going to seek more opportunity elsewhere, which they have more opportunity to do now than they had in the past with the new portal rules, and there essentially being no restrictions on transfer.
Well, it's the world we live in nowadays. Let's switch it over to the basketball court, though. Auburn fans, you have plenty to be proud of. That run in Maui, winning the Maui Invitational against some true blue bloods of college basketball. Auburn comes up as number 2 in the AP poll. It's hard. Look, I saw the team I saw play in Maui. That looked like the top team in the country. What do you think?
I think they are the top team in the country, and I don't know what else they have to do to prove it. Now, look, Kansas beat Duke already. They're ranked number 1. Auburn plays Duke on Friday. So we'll get to see the Auburn Tigers travel to Cameron Indoor to play the Duke Blue Devils. That's going to be a historic matchup. I think if you win that game, they should move to number 1 in the next poll, but we'll see. Auburn is back home in Neville for the first time in 22 days, I think, on Sunday, the 8th. But look, at the end of the day, what it boils down to is Bruce Pearl has his best team. He's got his best team. These guys can shoot. They can defend. They're tenacious. He's got probably the best player in college basketball, Janai Broome. He's got the most improved player in all of college basketball in Chaney Johnson. You added shooting on the outside with Miles Kelly, and you've got Denver Jones returning. And then you have the young 5-star freshman, Tahad Pettiford, who is everything I think they thought Aiden Holloway would be. And this young man shows up in big games, man. When the lights are the brightest, he's going to go out and he's going to drop, 20 to 25 for you and hit big threes down the stretch. So I think they have every facet of a championship team covered in this year's squad. I don't see a lot of deficiencies. It's just going to be a matter of continuing to stay healthy and executing down the stretch.
Now, you just touched on it, and I want to explore it a little bit more. Cooper Flagg, obviously the superstar for Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, look, by every expert, is projected to be the number 1 draft pick in the NBA. However, I do believe that Janai Broome is the best player in college basketball. What makes him special? What parts of his game did he improve on from last year?
Well, adding the 3-point shot helps Auburn stretch the floor. When you have a big man who can draw the other big man out of the paint and then hit threes in people's faces, I'm not talking about open threes. Like, dude, he's hitting step back threes.
Wild.
It really gives you a dynamic that not a lot of teams have. We saw Walker Kessler do this for Auburn a couple of years ago.
Which was scary.
He started to add a three-point game to his repertoire. And, it does. It gives you, we're seeing that more in basketball in general, not only in college, but at the NBA level. Big men can shoot. And, I thought that it was great for him to add that because he's got that and you just never know how to guard him. He's a terror in the post. He's one of the best rebounders in college basketball. I think the combination of all those things is what makes him the best, most well-rounded player. And on top of that, you add the experience. Part of the problem that a lot of the top programs have is your best players leave after 1 year and they go to the NBA,
right,
and you've got to reload. I don't know if you remember a Kentucky team that Calipari had with, I think it was the one with John Wall and those guys. Like 4 of their starting 5 all went to the NBA, right, and he had to reload, that year. Bruce Pearl's been dealing with that, losing his best player. You only have Jabari Smith for 1 year. Can you imagine all the guys that came
for 3 years?
Yeah, Isaac Okoro, Sharif Cooper. If all these guys had played multiple years, what kind of team Auburn would have? So it's his experience, I think, that makes him the best player in college basketball.
Now, we also got to talk about the ladies here because, again, Coach Johnny's putting together an incredible program. And we've talked about some international signings she's had so far.
Yeah.
But how are they doing? Because we always got to keep track of them as well.
Yeah, look, it was an up and down trip to the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Now, the men went to Maui, the women went to the Virgin Islands, and they started off with 2 straight wins. Deanna Gaston hit a jumper at the buzzer to beat Northern Iowa. And then in the next game, they beat Pitt in another tough one. And then they had Kansas. And they barely lost that one. All these losses have been extremely close, but they played without Talia Scott. She's day-to-day right now. That's all we know about her injury. We do know it's her wrist, but she's day-to-day. And then Caitlin Duhan, who is a glue piece for this team. She's one of the toughest women's basketball players I've ever had the chance to be around. She does everything for Johnny Harris. She defends. She can shoot the three. She can drive the basketball. She had what was a scary knee injury against Kansas, where she was on the ground holding her knee in a lot of pain. We're waiting for an update on her as well, too. So other girls have to step up, which is why Yu Ting, who is the signing from the Chinese national team, may be really important if she can get in this month. The earliest she could get here is mid-December, but we've got to wait to hear some other things there. So, look, the non-conference for Johnny has turned into figuring out who your backup stars are and getting healthy before conference play.
Well, again, a lot of good things on the hardwood for Auburn. We'll see if Auburn football could possibly make a bowl, because 5 and 7 teams have made it in there.
Yep.
We got to wrap up our time because he's also got to get ready for all the news that's going to happen with signing. Where can people find you on social media, Mike G? And also, this isn't the only thing that you do.
Yes. I also cover UCF. If you haven't heard, Gus Malzahn has left UCF to go be the offensive coordinator of Florida State. So we're in the middle of a coaching search over on Locked On UCF. Please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Gittens and follow us at The War Rapport on every social media platform.
Mike G, always one of the best. Yeah, football's done for now, but we got a lot of basketball to talk about. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Rex.